The blindness of love. Tell them you love me. The story of Anna Stubblefield is both intriguing and shocking as it opens up the complexity of love and lust and questions the power of emotions over intelligence, particularly in a married woman who was a professor in philosophy. The Anna Stubblefield scandal is a complex and controversial case that involves issues of race, disability, consent, ethics, and academic overreach. Stubblefield, a Rutgers University professor, was convicted in 2015 of sexually assaulting a non-verbal, severely disabled man known as DJ, under the belief that she had established a consensual relationship with him through a discredited communication method. The case raises important questions about the responsibilities of caregivers, the interpretation of consent, and the exploitation of vulnerable individuals. Who is Anna Stubblefield? Anna Stubblefield was a philosophy professor at Rutgers University in Newark, New Jersey. Her academic work focused on ethics, race, and disability studies. She gained recognition in academia for her critical work on the intersection of race and cognitive disability, challenging societal norms that marginalized people based on intellectual and physical differences. In her role as an academic, she was a proponent of facilitated communication, FC, a controversial and widely discredited method of enabling nonverbal individuals with disabilities to communicate. Anna Stubblefield was married to her husband, Roger Stubblefield, a fellow academic, and they had 2 children together. Their marriage was reportedly strained even before the scandal broke, but the revelation of her relationship with Derek Johnson, DJ, and her subsequent conviction added significant stress to her personal life, leading to a divorce between the couple. Indeed, Anna said that I will leave my husband, and I will make a permanent life and home with Derek. When Derek was asked if he'd been taken advantage of, he reportedly typed, "No one's been taken advantage of. I've been trying to seduce Anna for years and she resisted valiantly." Facilitated communication, FC, is a technique that involves a facilitator helping a non-verbal or minimally verbal person by physically supporting their hand, wrist, or arm as they type on a keyboard or point to letters on a communication board. Advocates believe that the method can unlock hidden communication abilities in individuals with severe disabilities. However, numerous studies and peer-reviewed research have shown that facilitators often unknowingly or deliberately influence the communication, leading critics to denounce it as pseudoscience. Despite its controversies, FC remains popular in some disability advocacy circles, where it is seen as a method of empowerment for non-verbal individuals. Who is Derek Johnson? The man at the center of this case, known as DJ for Derek Johnson, was born with cerebral palsy and intellectual disabilities. DJ is non-verbal and requires total care, living under the legal guardianship of his mother and brother. At the time of the events, he was in his 30s. His family, along with medical professionals, believed that he had a very limited capacity to communicate and understand the world around him. They described his cognitive abilities as severely impaired, comparing his mental functioning to that of a young child. Anna Stubblefield began working with DJ around 2008 to assist him in developing communication skills using facilitated communication. Over time, she claimed that DJ had made significant progress in his ability to communicate and express himself. According to Stubblefield, DJ developed a romantic interest in her, and she claimed that their relationship became consensually sexual. In 2011, DJ's family became concerned when they learned about the nature of Stubblefield's relationship with him. They were shocked to discover that she had engaged in sexual acts with DJ and asserted that he was incapable of consenting to such a relationship due to his cognitive impairments. DJ's brother and mother filed a civil lawsuit against Stubblefield, accusing her of sexual assault and claiming that she had exploited their vulnerable family member. Anna Stubblefield maintained throughout the legal proceedings that her relationship with DJ was consensual. She argued that through facilitated communication, DJ had expressed his desire for a romantic relationship and was fully capable of giving informed consent. She asserted that she had fallen in love with DJ and that their sexual relationship was part of a mutual, consensual bond. In her defense, Stubblefield and her legal team pointed to the facilitated communication transcripts as evidence of DJ's capacity to communicate and consent. The trial became a battleground for debates over facilitated communication's legitimacy. Expert witnesses on both sides presented conflicting evidence. On the prosecution side, neurologists and speech pathologists argued that DJ had significant cognitive impairments and that he was not capable of giving consent to any sexual activity. They emphasized the overwhelming scientific consensus that facilitated communication is unreliable and that it was likely Stubblefield, not DJ, who had generated the messages purportedly from him. On the defense's side, supporters of facilitated communication testified that the method had allowed DJ to express himself meaningfully, asserting that DJ had a higher intellectual capacity than previously thought. They argued that the scientific community had not fully explored or understood the potential of FC and that dismissing it was an act of marginalization. In October 2015, after a trial lasting several weeks, the jury found Anna Stubblefield guilty of 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault. The jury did not believe that DJ had the capacity to consent and concluded that Stubblefield had sexually assaulted him. During the sentencing phase, DJ's family spoke about the trauma and devastation they experienced as a result of Stubblefield's actions. Anna Stubblefield was sentenced to 12 years in prison. The judge in the case stated that Stubblefield had exploited a vulnerable person and betrayed the trust of his family. The sentencing sparked outrage from some disability advocates who supported Stubblefield's claims, while others saw it as a just response to her actions. Ethical considerations and perspectives. One of the most contentious aspects of the case was the use of facilitated communication as a means to justify consent. The broader scientific community largely rejects FC as a valid form of communication, citing studies that have repeatedly demonstrated facilitator influence. The ethical dilemma here lies in the fine line between attempting to give voice to individuals who cannot speak for themselves and unintentionally imposing one's beliefs or desires onto those individuals. The case also highlights the ethical responsibility of caregivers and professionals who work with vulnerable populations. Stubblefield, as both a professor and an advocate for disability rights, may have blurred the boundaries between professional and personal relationships, which contributed to her conviction. The role of facilitated communication in the case. One of the most contentious aspects of the case was the use of facilitated communication as a means to justify consent. The broader scientific community largely rejects FC as a valid form of communication, citing studies that have repeatedly demonstrated facilitator influence. The ethical dilemma here lies in the fine line between attempting to give voice to individuals who cannot speak for themselves and unintentionally imposing one's beliefs or desires onto those individuals. The case also highlights the ethical responsibility of caregivers and professionals who work with vulnerable populations. Stubblefield, as both a professor and an advocate for disability rights, may have blurred the boundaries between professional and personal relationships, which contributed to her conviction. Consent and cognitive disability. Consent, particularly in the context of cognitive disability, is a critical issue in this case. How can consent be meaningfully obtained from someone with severe intellectual disabilities? The court sided with the argument that DJ was not capable of providing informed consent due to his cognitive impairments. However, this raises broader questions about how society interprets the autonomy and rights of individuals with intellectual disabilities. Advocates for disability rights argue that individuals with cognitive impairments should not automatically be denied agency or their ability to consent to relationships. but they also emphasize the need for safeguards to prevent exploitation. This balance between autonomy and protection is a central ethical issue in cases like this. Another important angle to consider is the role of race in the Anna Stubblefield case. DJ is black while Stubblefield is white. Some critics of the case argue that racial dynamics may have influenced both the prosecution and media portrayal of Stubblefield's actions. They point to historical patterns of exploitation and abuse of black men by white women, raising the question of whether racial bias played a role in the conviction. On the other hand, others argue that focusing on race detracts from the central issue, which is the sexual exploitation of a disabled person. DJ's family did not emphasize race in their case against Stubblefield, focusing instead on his vulnerability due to his disability. Aftermath and impact. The scandal had a significant impact on both Anna Stubblefield's career and the broader academic community. After her conviction, Stubblefield was dismissed from Rutgers University, and her academic work on disability ethics came under intense scrutiny. The case also sparked wider debates within academia about the use of discredited techniques like facilitated communication and the responsibilities of scholars when working with vulnerable populations. Academic and professional fallout. The scandal had a significant impact on both Anna Stubblefield's career and the broader academic community. After her conviction, Stubblefield was dismissed from Rutgers University, and her academic work on disability ethics came under intense scrutiny. The case also sparked wider debates within academia about the use of discredited techniques like facilitated communication and the responsibilities of scholars when working with vulnerable populations. The disability rights community was divided in its response to the case. Some advocates saw Stubblefield as a champion for people with disabilities who had attempted to give a voice to a non-verbal individual. They argued that the case set a dangerous precedent by discrediting facilitated communication and denying the autonomy of individuals like DJ. Other advocates, however, viewed the case as a stark reminder of the need for caution and ethical responsibility when working with vulnerable people. They pointed out that the overwhelming scientific consensus rejects facilitated communication and that Stubblefield's actions harmed both DJ and the broader cause of disability rights. Anna Stubblefield's legal team filed multiple appeals following her conviction, arguing that the trial court had failed to consider important evidence regarding facilitated communication and DJ's ability to consent. In 2018, an appellate court overturned her original sentence and ordered a retrial, ruling that the trial judge had improperly barred certain testimony that could have been favorable to Stubblefield. However, in early 2019, Stubblefield accepted a plea deal that allowed her to be released on time served, effectively ending her legal battle. The scandal had a profound impact on Anna's marriage. During her trial, her husband supported her, but as the case progressed and details about her relationship with DJ became public, the strain on their relationship intensified. It's reported that the couple eventually separated as a result of the scandal, though the exact timing of the separation and any subsequent divorce has not been widely publicized. Regarding her children, Anna kept their lives relatively private throughout the trial, likely to protect them from the media attention. The public discussion of her family life has been limited, but it is clear that the legal proceedings and media coverage of the case deeply affected her personal life and relationships, particularly with her husband and children. At the time of the events surrounding the Anna Stubblefield scandal, Anna was in her early 40s, while DJ was in his 30s, 11 years her junior. The exact age difference between them was about a decade, though precise birth years are not widely publicized for either individual. The Anna Stubblefield scandal is a deeply complex case that touches on a wide range of issues, including disability, consent, race, and academic ethics. At its core, the case challenges how society interprets the rights and agency of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. While Stubblefield's conviction brought closure for DJ's family, it also sparked ongoing debates within the disability rights community and academia about the ethical responsibilities of caregivers and researchers. The scandal not only disrupted Anna's professional life, but also her family life, as the media scrutiny and public fallout were significant and long-lasting. Yet, the question remains, what moved Anna to do what she did? Why would such an accomplished woman stoop so low to not only cheat on her husband, but do so with a younger and disabled man who cannot speak or think? Why would she throw away all her years of hard work, education, and family life for a mentally disabled man who cannot even speak? This beggars belief. Is this love or lust, infatuation or adventure, or it's just mere stupidity? Was she unhappy or sex-starved in her marriage? If this is love, then it's really blind. For Anna needed a mentally impaired and speechless man to tell the whole world that you love me.